Hey, look, so it might get to the point where you want to create your own algorithm, your own EA. You've probably been just, trading for a few years and blah, blah, blah. You want to explore some of your own ideas, which is cool. So I've put some pointers together here that gives you some context over our journey, our lessons, our experience, and some tips for that, really. So the first thing is you can't create an EA without having a rules-based strategy. Yeah. You can't code something unless it's clear what the rules are going to be. So if A happens, do B. If this is valid, do that, and then do this. There has to be clear rules on that strategy that aren't discretionary, that you can't say to a coder, when I think this is going to happen, code that. I mean, that's quite obvious, right? So if it's a EMA crossover, that's a fact-based thing. If it's an RSI level, it's a fact-based thing. So you've got to make sure that your strategy is really clear and has clear, concise rules that can be followed. Okay, quite an obvious one. But before you get to actually coding it, you should have an idea if what you're talking about is going to work, right? So a little bit of a manual review on that basis over a short period of time is going to help you gain clarity on, right, I think this can work in various different ways, and enables you to forward to a coder to go, look, this is what the rules are. These are the trades that I've plotted in line with those rules, just to make sure everyone's clear, really, because what you might want coding versus what the coder understands that to be versus what you then end up with can all be very, very different. And you get Chinese whispers. So what you thought you had or wanted versus what you get can be so different. And it's either because he's not understood or he's not coded or she has not coded what they thought. So there's lots of variables to that. Yeah. So finding a coder is a tough one because a lot of people out there might say they're great and they might not be. So who, where? My experience tells me that there are useful people on sites like Fiverr and Upwork. And it's also sensible to work with a few. So if you had one idea and concept, I'd probably try two or three at the same time. And, you would expect to get the same sort of result from all three, and you won't. You won't. So I think you will go through lots of coders until you find one that is, you get each other, the communication's clear and understandable. You trust that they know what they're doing. Everything's clear. And when you find a good coder, they'll add value back. Oh, we could try this or we could do the other. So just accept that you're not just going to strike gold with one coder the first time you reach out to them. Yeah, expect a bit of throughput in number 3. Number 4, once you've got a strategy that's been coded with what you thought it was, you're obviously going to have to fault find and test. Does it do what it should? Is it doing what you thought it was going to do? And if it doesn't, you're going to have to really highlight why it's not and what it needs to do. And if it does, great. Then you can get into some testing and some live testing in the market to explore that moving forward. And then number 5, once you've got something that's doing what you want it to do, the next thing is down to the data and the testing and to see if it's got legs, right? There'll be things that we've come up with that thought, well, this makes logical sense. This is going to work. And the data tells you it doesn't. Okay, fine. Move on. Don't become emotionally attached to an idea. But sometimes we've come up with things that, okay, well, we're going to explore it and code it, and we'll let the data tell us if it works or not. And it has. So, explore and refine and employ critical thinking in your decision making and, in exploring ideas, concepts, ways of using it. Sometimes you'll come up with 5 and you'll go back, you'll keep going back to 1 or 2 here. There'll be a flow chart, idea, concept, back to coder, refine, test, fault find, and that process will happen a lot. But it all starts with, in simple form, the takeaways from this are if you want to code your own EA, you're going to have a rules-based strategy, clarity over what that should be doing and when, hire numerous coders to find one that you're in line with over time, fault find and test, and employ some critical thinking to see if you can improve it, move it forward, and explore and refine. That's about it, really.